Here's my conversation with over 100 top-notch foreign investors in India. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Modi was Napoleon's proverbial lucky general, the first to enjoy a single-party majority after India freed its economy in 1991. His fortune was compounded when Brent crude collapsed from $108 per barrel in 2014 to $30 per barrel in 2016. That gave his government a windfall gain of nearly 100 billion. That's billion with a B, billion dollars over 3 years. Now, just imagine if it had gifted this largesse to consumers by cutting fuel prices at the pump. What a tax stimulus it would have been for private demand and corporate investment. Or instead, if Prime Minister Modi had used the $100 billion war chest to create a TARP-like facility for stressed banks and infrastructure companies. TARP, to refresh your memory, was the Troubled Asset Relief Program launched by President George Bush and Federal Reserve Chief Ben Bernanke to handle the subprime crisis in America in 2008. With one stroke, that would have solved our twin balance sheet problem, unlocking the fetters on growth. Well, instead, Prime Minister Modi doubled, even trebled, the taxes on oil to soak up the bonanza for the government, and made the problem worse by spending it on grand welfare programs that are notoriously inefficient and leaky. Today, this original sin has trapped Prime Minister Modi in a pincer as the dollar has strengthened and Brent crude has leapt back to $80 per barrel. Now, if he cuts those sky-high taxes, his fiscal arithmetic gets whacked. If he rolls back welfare schemes, his political narrative and constituency get shredded. As it is, nationalists are castigating him for weakening the rupee, which is such a mistaken proxy for India's pride.
Fine, we agree that he messed up India's oil economy. But how can you call him a statist on just one bad call?
All right then, here's another egregious instance of oppressing minority shareholders and capturing the regulator. Now, early this year, the Modi government was woefully short of its disinvestment target. It needed emergency cash. So it thought up this awful fix for its failure. The public sector oil exploration behemoth, that's ONGC, was coerced to pay nearly $6 billion, that's again billion with a B, $6 billion to buy the government's shares in HPCL. Now, under the law, ONGC was required to make an open offer for 26% additional shares, which would have provided an exit to HPCL shareholders who wanted out of this transaction. But the Modi government trotted out a 40-year-old law, the Nationalization Act, to claim that the public sector character of HPCL had not changed, even though control had passed from the Ministry of Petroleum to ONGC. Now, the Securities and Exchange Board of India simply queued up and waived the open offer.
All right, those are two bad instances. This government has really done much better on several other scores. How can you ignore that?
Aha, so you want more evidence, right? Well, here you go. 1. Angel tax imposed even before a penny of profit is realized on investments. A small waiver is possible provided you can convince a committee of government secretaries about your innovativeness. 2. Companies forced to borrow 25% of their debt from the bond markets. 3. Not one bidder for Air India because of very ridiculous conditions. There'll be no layoffs, there'll be no rebranding, there'll be no merger with the new parent. 4. Coal mines were opened to private ownership, but the decision was rolled back before any investment was made. 5. Pharmaceutical and stent prices have been capped. A decades-old medicine like Saridon, we've been taking it from childhood, was banned. 6. Monsanto was effectively driven out of the country after their royalties were capped. 7. Private traders in Maharashtra are to be criminally note that again, criminally prosecuted if they buy grain under minimum support prices, and all principles of freely priced markets be damned. All right, but is there any policy at all that I find a bit of a game changer? Yes, to be fair, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, or IBC, is a bold move to use a free market auction mechanism to sell stressed industrial assets. Unfortunately, other than this exception, which exception actually just proves the rule, other than this exception, the government has been deeply suspicious and mistrustful of market forces. In fact, I would call it the most statist, interventionist and market-unfriendly regime in post-liberalisation India, that is, in the last quarter century. The Economist has described Prime Minister Modi as a tinkerer. I marginally disagree with that. In my view, it's a government of voluble, aggressive incrementalists.